Hello and welcome to Behind the Badge. I'm Chief Edward Dunn, the Falmouth Police Department, and today we have a show. We're going to be talking about a gun buyback program that we have coming up on June 9th. And I have some guests with me today. I have Richard Doobie. Thank you for coming.
You're very welcome.
And a Kirsten Moritz. I'm sorry.
Thanks.
Both of you are participants in this whole gun buyback program.
That's correct.
So, for the general public, what is a gun buyback program?
A gun buyback program is designed to get guns that are unwanted, might be in any household, and in exchange for turning them into the police department, we will provide them with gift certificates to a local supermarket. Dependent on the type of gun they turn in, there are two denominations of gift certificate, and it's all done very safely with the coordination of your department.
Right. No, yeah, and we held one back around 2013.
Right.
And I think at that time we got 206 unwanted weapons.
Right.
I think another piece that we should talk about too, you're a gun owner.
I am.
And this is not against guns. It's not anti-gun.
Absolutely not.
Right.
It is. It's merely the entire thing is geared towards safety. There are unwanted guns in homes in Falmouth. They're perhaps the owner passed on. Perhaps the gun has been in the family for 2 generations. Nobody knows what the heck it is,
Right.
and they don't want it anymore. It's not like disposing of any other form of trash. It can be dangerous. So therefore, we're providing an opportunity for them to turn in these guns, to get them out of the household safely, and in return for that, we're giving them a gift certificate.
So yeah, no, that's a good way to get rid of them. And that's kind of what happened the last time.
Yeah.
That is important. It's all about safety. And the police department does normally get phone calls from people who, and Kirsten and I were talking about this a few minutes ago, that someone passed away and the relatives are going through their belongings and all of a sudden come across a gun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
And don't know what to do with it. So we do get phone calls. So this is great that we can get the community together. And that's the other piece that we were talking about.
Right.
This has become a community effort.
It has, and we are very happy about that. We have over 40 organizations that are supporting us, sort of endorsing our efforts, some of them even with financial contributions toward the gift cards. And that's kind of what we wanted. We wanted to have a bipartisan group, a nonpartisan group really, that we could all agree on something, because we all know that this is a kind of fractured time we're living in. If we can find one thing, at least practical thing, that we can do together as a community, we think that's a plus. So we've had organizations from Toyota of Falmouth, to the school committee, to the selectmen, all of our state reps, Dylan Fernandez, Vinny DiMacedo, David Vieira have been very supportive. Michael O'Keefe, our district attorney, has been very generous and helpful with, and he has even helped us on the day of by waiving some of the restrictions so that people can actually bring their guns to the gun buyback without any fear of violating any particular law.
Right, yeah, if they're unlicensed or whatever and they happen to have it.
Right.
And if they're still not comfortable, they can call the police department and we will come and get the weapon.
Right.
Yeah.
All that we're asking is that we're asking that they be in a case or a bag of some sort. If they can't do that, we'll try to provide that for them, and that the gun be unloaded. But once again, if they're not comfortable with that, speak to us, speak to the Falmouth Police Department, and we'll handle that.
Yeah, because it is all about the safety piece here.
And we're particularly encouraged by the churches. The churches of the town have just gone all out, particularly the Wacoit Congregational Church in Nell Fields. They are a nonprofit that's supporting us, and all the churches almost in the entire town have come on board, publicizing it for us and talking to their members about it. So that gives us the faith community, which is strong here in Falmouth.
Yeah, and this all came about because of what we're seeing in the news every day. With youth being injured in accidental discharges because they don't know how to handle weapons.
Yeah, unloaded guns are very dangerous, as I'm sure the chief will attest to. they don't know how to handle guns, and if you're unfamiliar with firearms, the best thing you can do is stay away from them. That being said, once again, the unwanted firearm in the house, this is not a matter of Second Amendment rights or anything like that. This is simply the fact that there is a dangerous situation in a household, and we're trying to remedy it.
Yeah, no, and we're very fortunate. First of all, Massachusetts does have, for those people who don't know, Massachusetts does have some of the strictest gun laws in the United States, and other states are trying to model themselves after Massachusetts. And we're also very fortunate that in the town of Falmouth, we have some very, very responsible gun owners. We really do. They keep their guns unloaded, they keep them locked away, they keep safeties on them and things like that. So, knock on wood, we haven't had any incidents here in the town of Falmouth because of the responsible gun owners that we do have.
By the way, with this, when the guns, when they leave the police department, they will be destroyed, and we are making certain that no parts will be harvested from these guns, so that we're not simply recycling guns.
Right.
We are going to render these guns useless after they're turned into the police department.
Right. And a lot of these guns, like you said, they've been in families for generations and things like that, and they're really not really functional, what you would call a gun that you would really want to have.
No.
Because they've been in the basement, they're rusted, but they're still a firearm, and they can still be used.
Exactly. I was actually called over to somebody's home recently. They had a firearm, a side-by-side shotgun, that was the husband's brother's gun. The husband is in his 80s. It was his older brother's gun. And I examined the gun. It was the barrels were made of Damascus steel, which are unsafe for today's loads.
Okay.
So I let them know that you may want to keep it for sentimental reasons, but don't allow anybody to fire this gun. That's an unsafe weapon. It's in somebody's house. They can keep it, I suppose, as a sentimental. We don't want to take that from them.
Right.
But they have to know that it's not safe to use.
Yeah, and the other piece on this too here is we're a seasonal community, and a lot of homes are vacant during the winter and even during the day a lot of times, and we do have burglaries in the town, and a lot of weapons do get stolen, even if they're in a safe. The safe may not be secured to a floor or something like that, or in a drawer. Some of these individuals who do break into homes, they're looking for jewelry and things they could sell, but every once in a while they'll come across a gun. So then we have these guns on the street, and a lot of times people will say the same thing was, "Oh, I think that gun was in the drawer, but we didn't use it because it was my father's gun," just like you were talking about. So this, like you said in the very beginning, this is another safe way to dispose of a weapon that is unwanted, and it will keep the whole community safe.
Correct. Exactly.
And may, in fact, attract a young child. This is one of the issues that we have as children are not cautious about this kind of thing, as we all know.
Right.
And a possible suicide attempt could be made with an unwanted gun. So for safety's sake, this is what we're proceeding on.
Yeah.
And there was a letter to the editor in the Falmouth Enterprise. Somebody was concerned about the fact that valuable weapons or historical weapons might be turned in. I myself used to be a collector. I had a federal firearms license. I recognize valuable weapons. The members of your department would. Anybody who brings in a historically important weapon or a weapon that is quite valuable, we will alert them to that fact.
Right.
We don't want to take anybody's gun that's worth
Right.
$2,000-3,000.
And that's where I was going to with the theft. All the guns will, all the numbers will be run. So if we happen to come across one that has been stolen, we will contact that owner to find out whether or not they wish to have their weapon back, because it's a stolen weapon, and it could have just ended up in someone else's hand. Not saying the person that turned it in stole it, but
Right.
it could have ended up in someone's house, just like you said, and they might have thought it was just belonged to somebody, and they turned it in. The last time we did the take back, we didn't find anything that was stolen.
Okay.
But again, we had this conversation in the beginning about the historic pieces and things like
Right.
that, because you're right. You're going to be giving them gift cards for certain weapons. They could be a valuable weapon. So having you on board as a collector and having our firearms instructors look at weapons, if we think it's something, we'll hold that one aside. until we can verify whether it is or it isn't.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Because we don't want to take any historical weapons and destroy them.
Definitely do not. And incidentally, the classifications that the committee has come up with as far as gift certificates, we are giving $75 gift certificates for all semi-automatic weapons. They could be pistols, they could be rifles, they could be shotguns. If they're semi-automatic, they're $75.
Okay.
All other weapons will get $50 gift certificates. Revolvers, single-shot rifles, things like that will get $50.
What about BB guns and pellet guns?
They can be turned in, but they will not get gift certificates for those. Ammunition can also be turned in at that time. Those will not get gift certificates, but they can be turned in.
Safe disposal.
Exactly. Once again, safe disposal.
Yeah. Okay, sounds like good. And the committee itself, can we talk a little bit about how this all came about and who's on the committee? I know you mentioned, Nell Fields and things like that, but
Well, our committee's headed by Ann Stone, who Ann and Tom are well known in the community and in the Congregational Church here in town, and it evolved as a coalition of people who got concerned after the Parkland shootings and thought, what small practical thing can we do that would bring us all together and not cause any community strife, etc. And there were people who were very interested in that, and we found each other, and we started meeting, and we owe a great deal of thanks to the Methodist Church who did the last gun buyback, and Tiffany Van Moy, who headed that up. She came to our first meeting and educated us as to how a gun buyback that she was familiar with had worked. And it seemed doable, and this was, I think, February. So it gave us a deadline. We said we want to do it this summer, and we got right to work. And so we have a committee of about 8 people, and Rich is our gun expert. Nan Logan also is a very big part of it, and she is also a gun owner, or licensed gun owner anyway. So we've had good advice from that.
yeah, good.
And
It's really, it's important, and that's great to see that it was a collaborative effort.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, so and again, it's going to be on June 9th
June 9th, 9 a.m. to 12 a.m.
at the police station.
At the police station, and there will be officers there from your department
Yes,
to
there will
help
be.
people.
Yeah. Yeah. So if they're uncomfortable, as we said, you're asking them again. We'll just remind everybody, you're asking them again to put them in a case if possible, or a gun lock on them, and unloaded. Absolutely, that's safety. And if they're not too sure, please, they can reach out to the police department,
Right.
and we'll make sure, because we don't want to see anybody get hurt, bringing in an unwanted weapon. So I think it's very, it's very informative, and
Now, can I ask you a question?
absolutely.
If they have a gun in their home and they're unsure if it's unloaded or not, will somebody from your
We'll send
department?
we'll send a police officer to their home.
Okay,
I would rather be, err on the side of caution and make sure that it is unloaded.
yep, yep,
And we will do that.
perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, we get calls often prior to the gun buyback program. Somebody, like I told you, that come across weapons in their homes. If nothing else, having this gun buyback program, it's going to start conversations
right.
on both
That's
sides
right.
about gun safety. And I think that's important. So maybe people would have those conversations with their children and other family members, that if you, see a weapon, as you said, if you're not familiar with it, don't touch it.
Don't touch it.
It's
It
the
really
simplest thing we can say.
Yeah, it's as I said before, unloaded guns can be dangerous.
Yeah.
The only way that you know if a gun is unloaded, I'm telling the chief something here, is if the action is open and
Right.
you see that the gun is unloaded. Anything else has to be considered a loaded gun.
Loaded weapon, absolutely. And you don't point it at anybody ever.
Never, and you never put your finger inside the trigger guard,
Right.
things like that. And people don't know that.
Right.
They can pick a gun up by the trigger,
By the trigger.
and that could be a disastrous result.
Absolutely. Again,
So.
is there anything else you'd like to get out there?
Well, I think we want to thank all of the supporting organizations that have come up to us and asked for to be part of our support group, and that's very important. So we are thankful for that. We will publicize those names, and we're very grateful and hope that now they will publicize the opportunity for someone to actually bring their gun in now on June 9th to the police station and support this effort, this community effort.
I appreciate both of you being involved.
Oh, thank
And,
you.
Thank
very
you.
much.
And it is very, very important in this day and age, again, keeping everybody safe. And look forward to working with both of you as we move forward with this, and particularly on June 9th,
Yep.
to see what what we get for turn-in that day. And it's all about keeping the community safe. So I
Right.
really appreciate your efforts also.
We'll hope
Thank
for
you.
good weather.
And hope for good weather. Yes.
Yeah.
So as always, but again, thank you very much for tuning in and on this very important topic about gun safety and things like that. And I hope it was informative. And again, if you have any unwanted weapons, again, you can reach out to the police department, or you can come in on June 9th and get a gift card for those. So again, thank you for tuning in to Behind the Badge.